Welcome to the Moon Manifesting Podcast with Kyra Howearth. Hi, I'm Kyra, business astrologer, moon manifesting mama, author, teacher, and mentor. I teach you how to harness the energy of the moon, stars, and cosmos so you can manifest your dreams and discover a deeper purpose to your life. Hey there, welcome back to the Moon Manifesting Podcast. It's Kyra Howearth here today, and I'm really excited to be talking all about yin yoga in this episode. So I have recently been studying my yin yoga certification, and it has really made me fall in love with yin yoga all over again. I already loved yin. It was already one of my favorite yoga styles to practice, but as I've been studying it more deeply, it has just really reaffirmed just why I love this practice so much. So this episode is all about why yin yoga is so important, and not only how to do it, but when to do it, because there are certain times in the moon cycle when yin yoga can be most effective and most appropriate as well. So yeah, we'll be going right into all of that really shortly. But first, I would like to invite you, if you would like to practice moon-inspired yoga with me, make sure you join Flow with the Moon. This is my monthly yoga membership where you get access to regular live classes as well as a library full of replays and recorded classes so that you can practice yoga whenever you feel like it. There's so many practices ranging from like really short 5 to 10 minute flows up to like 60-minute full classes in a range of varieties, from the like slow and calming yin yoga through to like more active hatha and vinyasa flows that really get your blood pumping. So every single flow in Flow with the Moon is aligned with the moon cycle. So yeah, it really combines my love for the moon with yoga. So if this is something that you feel would really help you get on the mat more often to practice yoga and reconnect with your spiritual practice, make sure you join by clicking through the show notes below. You'll find the link to sign up for this really special yoga membership. Alrighty, so let's talk all about yin yoga. So what is yin yoga? So yin yoga is a kind of modern branch of yoga. Yoga has its origins from like thousands of years ago from the Indian culture. And yin yoga is something that has been more recently developed from about the 1980s, where a man called Paulie Zink, he was actually trained under like a kung fu master. So he was like right into, kung fu. And he also trained to do yoga as well. And he began to combine these practices together to create what was called as Taoist yoga. And what this involved was the first 2 hours of a class were all just really like slow poses done on the floor. And then after that, they would move into like the more active movements. So as Paulie Zinks was practicing this, another guy came to his classes, Paul Grilly. I'm like trying to think of all these names. Paul Grilly came along, and so he adopted what he was learning from Paulie Zinks, and he then started teaching this Taoist yoga as well. And then Sarah Powers, she came along to one of Paul Grilly's classes, and she adapted what she'd learned from his classes, and she, I believe, is the person who coined the term yin yoga. And so, yeah, it's really those 3 people who were kind of like the founders of the yin yoga. And also Bernie Clark had a role to play there as well. But just acknowledging where yin yoga came from, these people were all really highly influential around the 1980s for, creating what we now know as yin yoga. So yin yoga is really different from other yoga styles because it is really slow and it encourages stillness. So if you've been to a yoga class before, it was probably like, really active, doing salutes to the sun, doing downward dog, doing the warrior poses, doing all that sort of stuff. Whereas yin yoga, we are holding the poses for anywhere from 2 to 10 minutes at a time. And so in an hour-long class, you may do less than 10 poses during that whole class, where you're just, most of the time, you're just sitting there in silence, holding this shape in your body for, quite some time. And it's actually really relaxing. And yeah, I really love yin yoga because it gives you that opportunity to really relax and release through the body. When you're releasing through the body, you're also releasing emotions and releasing energy. So what the difference between yin and like the more yang style of yogas, which are like your vinyasa and hatha, is that yin focuses more on the connective tissue. So the connective tissue is kind of like the stuff that kind of holds the body together, I guess is one way to explain it. Whereas the yang yoga styles, they're more focused on the muscles, right? So this is why when we're practicing yin yoga, we want to not have a warm up beforehand. We want to work with the body while the muscles are still quite cool. So it's said that doing yin yoga in the morning before you've been moving your body around a lot can be most beneficial because that way you're able to target that connective tissue more than activating the muscles. So what makes yin yoga so special is that it focuses on stillness. Yin is all about stillness, whereas yang is about activity and movement and heat. Yin is more cold, more feminine, more like turning within, whereas yang is more of that masculine outward energy. And so why yin is really so important to be doing, especially in our modern age, is that a lot of the time we are doing yang activities. Like we are often running around in our life, rushing from one thing to the next. There is like such a fast-paced hustle culture where, we're always in a hurry to get to the next thing, do the next thing, get things done. Whereas yin really helps us find balance. And that's what yin yoga is all about. It's about finding balance, coming away from that busyness, coming away from that activity, and really just devoting some time to go within, to find that balance, to find stillness. It is so important that we do find this time to regularly have that time when you can find that stillness, when you can find that balance, because otherwise you just, work yourself too much, you get burnt out, that sort of thing. So yin is so important for everyone, I believe. Like whether you actively practice yoga or maybe you work out at the gym a lot or something, I feel yin yoga can really help so many people because there's just not enough of us who do regularly take the time to meditate or to sit in stillness and quiet. We always feel like we have to be doing something, even if it's just scrolling on our phone, it's still doing something. So yin yoga, it is so important for everyone. So how to do yin yoga? There are really only a certain number of poses in yin yoga. And it is really important to do these under the guidance of a qualified yoga teacher, because it can, like especially with the long holds, coming in and out of the pose is really important to reduce the risk of injury, especially as we're working with the connective tissue and we're working with the body while it's cold. You do need to just be a bit extra careful to ensure that you don't injure yourself throughout yin yoga. So I do highly advise going to a class. So I do teach yin yoga classes through my Flow with the Moon program. You'll find heaps of recordings on there, as well as some regular yin classes that I teach live, and I'll talk more about that shortly as well. But yeah, I highly advise going to a class first. And maybe from that you can adopt some of those practices into your personal practice at home on the mat. But generally speaking, the yin yoga poses, you're holding them for around 5 minutes. Anywhere from about 2 to 10 minutes, though, is the general guideline, and it's completely up to you how long you hold the poses. But the key here is balance. So if you're doing a pose that's like targeting one side of the body, then you'll want to make sure that you follow that up with the same pose on the other side of the body. And you also want to make sure that you're adding in counter poses as well. So if you're kind of bending the hips in one direction, then you also want to make sure you follow up later in the class where you're bending the hips the other way, or rotating the hips, I guess I should say, not because you can't really bend the hips, but like, yeah. So like if you're doing like butterfly pose where the hips are like coming out, then you might want to follow it up later with saddle pose where the hips are kind of folding inwards. Hope that's making sense. Anyways, so the best times to do yin yoga. So this is what I really love, and this is kind of like the foundation of the Flow with the Moon yoga program, because it's all about aligning different styles of yoga with the different phases of the moon. So yin yoga, as I mentioned, is all about stillness and going within darkness. So I'm wondering if you can guess which moon phase yin yoga would be most appropriate at. What moon phase is also associated with stillness, with going within, with darkness, when you can't even see the moon in the sky? Maybe you've guessed it. It is the new moon. So the new moon, of course, is all about going within, setting intentions, finding that stillness, and that's what yin yoga is all about, right? So I find that yin yoga can be really helpful to do around the new moon. I really love doing yin yoga and teaching yin yoga in the dark moon phase, which is the day or two before the new moon. This is when we're closing that moon cycle and we're really coming to stillness. And the dark moon is really the best time of the moon cycle for resting. So this is why I highly recommend doing yin yoga during the dark moon and into the new moon, because it's this time of the moon cycle when we really do need that stillness, because we're not getting that energy from the moon. Like in terms of the moon cycle, like this is like the lowest energetic point of the moon cycle. And so naturally you'll probably be feeling a bit more quiet. You'll naturally be feeling like that need to go within. So that's my top recommendation for when to do yin yoga. Finding that time around the dark moon or new moon. But on the other side of the moon cycle is the full moon, which in terms of yin and yang, the full moon is very yang, because the yang energy is all about light and activity. And as you probably are aware, when it's the full moon, you often feel quite active, and you will want to be doing all the things and being everywhere and just being like a buzzing full of activity. So this is actually when we probably most need that yin yoga practice to find that balance, because that's what yin yoga is all about. It is about balance. So when we're in that moon phase, that full moon phase of that heightened yang energy, this is ideal for bringing in that yin yoga practice to bring some balance between the yin and yang in your life. So this is also something that I do often teach in Flow of the Moon when I'm doing my live classes. If it lines up around a new moon or a dark moon, I will most likely be teaching a yin class then. And the full moon, depending on that energy and how the students are feeling, we might be doing a yin practice, or we might be building on that yang energy and doing something a bit more active. But I often try to put yin at both of those times of the moon cycle. For the new moon, to really tune in to that yin energy and to really encourage that yin energy. And then at the full moon, to bring some balance to the yang energy of the full moon phase. So that pretty wraps up why I love yin yoga so much, why I feel it's so important, and when to do it, the best times of the moon phase to do yin yoga. In saying that though, You can do yin yoga at any time. You can do yin yoga like at any moon phase. It doesn't have to be at the new moon or the full moon. It can just be whenever you do need to find that balance and find that stillness. You don't necessarily have to just reserve that for the dark moon phase. So if you do want to join me on the mat and practice some yin yoga or any other moon aligned yoga class, make sure you check out the show notes below where you can sign up for the Flow of the Moon yoga membership. And yeah, I will see you all on the next episode of the Moon Manifesting podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Stay manifesting, stay magical, and stay tuned. I'll speak with you soon. Thank you for listening to the Moon Manifesting podcast. If you're wanting more moon magic, check out my book, Moon Manifesting. Download your free Moon Manifesting calendar or connect with me on social media. You can do all of that at kyrahowearth.com.au. Stay magical, stay manifesting, and stay tuned. I'll speak with you in the next episode.